I'm Rachel Vandegrift. I'm a senior at Temple. I have a double major in Comm Studies and Spanish, and I did 2 programs with Klein GO. So I went to New York City with the Communities and Organizations program, and then over this past summer in 2018, I went to Barcelona with the Global Internship Program. I chose to study in New York because I always thought that I wanted to live there, and I've had a really changing relationship with that city. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it, and I went back and forth between that, so I thought the program was the perfect way to decide whether or not I actually loved it. Turns out I do. And it's a really great way to get involved with the Comm Studies major because there were a lot of other students in the program that had the same major as me. And it's a very flexible program in terms of the timing and the schedule for it, so it really perfectly worked in with my summer. I also had always wanted to go to Barcelona. As having the secondary major in Spanish, I really wanted to dedicate myself to a language immersion program, even though Global Internship is welcoming to students that don't know another language and there's no requirement to do so. It was really important to me to be able to use it in that way and to immerse myself in a culture, in an office environment where I can actually use the language every day. And just culturally, Barcelona is such a fun city. Ever since I had seen it in Cheetah Girls 2, which is super just childish, but it's the truth. That's like one of the main reasons I wanted to go. And ever since I saw it in that movie, I realized like, oh, that's a really interesting place. And since then, I developed more of like a real reasoning for wanting to go. The New York program, it's unique from all the others. Everything about it is unique, especially the schedule for the day. So in the morning, it's up to all the students to make it to New York, basically. We meet at the classroom space, and then we have a lecture for a couple of hours with Dr. Gratzen. And then Dr. Gratzen looks at us and says, okay, you have an hour to meet me at this location. Maybe it's like a cross section or a landmark or something like that in the city. And it's our job to get there somehow. And the goal is to not use your phone, to use an actual map or talk to actual people to get directions and make it to that destination by the time we have our excursion for the day. So once you're in a particular destination, it might be Central Park or Brooklyn or a certain museum, then we have a experience for the day there. So we learn about the importance of that location in the city, why it's important to study that place. And then after that, the rest of the afternoon is really up to you. So most students use it to travel even more throughout the city, just bopping around to different locations, getting homework done. The homework is essentially more exploring. So it's really just going to different sites throughout the city and reflecting on what they teach you about New York. A typical day in Barcelona for me, I would wake up, I would go to my internship around 10 o'clock, and then I would be there until about 3. I would have many different tasks to do while I was there. It really depended on the day. And then in Spanish culture, it's really common to take like a nice long leisurely lunch with your coworkers. So I would usually stick around for that just to have kind of a cultural immersion with my coworkers and learn about things that were going on. And then after that, I would go home. Sometimes I would do things in the afternoon. We would have events or things like that that I would come back to work for. But mostly I had a pretty light schedule because that's what the organization I was with needed. So free time in New York, again, just a lot of exploring. So I would have my Metro card and I would basically bop around the whole city going to different sites, different events, festivals. I would see street performances, I would go to museums, I would go to a lot of parks and community gardens. And it was partially research, but it was also a lot of fun just being able to explore like the nooks and crannies of the city. It was a really immersive experience. So again, after our excursion for the day ended, I would just travel around for a couple more hours until my bus left at around like 8 or 9 o'clock usually. So it was definitely a long day in the city, but I would always get a lot of stuff done after class. Even though it was for an assignment, it was also really fun at the same time. So in my free time in Barcelona, I was all about walking around the city and going again to just different cultural sites and different tourist attractions that I thought were interesting or valuable to me. So after I got off of work, I would always walk home. I would take different pathways and I would explore different neighborhoods along the way, and I would pop into different shops and get lunch and go shopping and stuff like that on my way back. So that was definitely my favorite thing to do. And then on the weekends, me and my roommates or some of my other friends from Temple would go to a lot of tapas bars. So those are really quintessential Spanish style bars. They have little snacks that you eat and you can just go and have drinks with friends, which is really fun. And I also went to a lot of museums as well. The two programs that I did were very different, but I think that was the beauty of doing both of them. So the New York program obviously is based in the US. It was a very short term in terms of the time that I had to dedicate to it. And the timing was very flexible and the content was very different than when I went to Barcelona, which is a longer term program, international, with the internship component. So they had very different requirements or expectations while I was there. But the New York program definitely helped me to gain the confidence and gain the skills that I needed to be able to go to Barcelona and say, okay, I can do this. I can move to this country for 2 months and work and try to live like a local for that period of time. So I always like to tell people that the New York experience, I wouldn't have been able to go to Barcelona without that first experience, because I didn't feel like I was quite ready to just pack up everything and move to a different country. But the first program that was based in the US really helped me build that confidence and say, oh, I can definitely do that. I think I learned the same thing in both programs, but just through a different lens. Both of them really taught me how to be independent and how to be my own person and really realize who I am once you're, disconnected from your usual surroundings. I was really able to realize the path that I want to take in life and travel, which is something that had always been important to me, and I didn't really quite realize how important that was to me until I went on these programs. Academic and professional development are another huge thing that I got. I was able to receive a lot of credits for my major, which was super helpful. And then I was even able to get internship credit along the way. So being able to make professional connections in another country, it's out of this world. I'm so proud to have that on my resume and be able to talk about that to future students or to people that I'm interviewing with for future employment and things like that. So really personal, academic, professionally, in all regions. I really have advanced through the programs. I really encourage anyone to do a Klein GO program or even just travel and get yourself out there, because especially with study abroad, you're never going to get this much support along the way for traveling. So that's one of the greatest benefits of the program, is that you can get class credit, you can get scholarships, and all of these benefits just to travel and to immerse yourself into another culture. And even after having participated in the programs, I feel like I can do anything. I can go to other countries. I can plan those kinds of trips for myself because I have the resources to do that now. And those are things that I never would have learned had I not gone on the programs in the first place.